The Golden State Warriors are breaking the NBA as they currently are on a 4-game win streak and are only 3 wins away from getting the 6th spot in the Western Conference. In today's video, we're going to be going through 5 key signs that show that the Golden State Warriors can make a deep playoff run and hopefully win another NBA championship, and we'll be focusing on the most recent game against the San Antonio Spurs where they won 117 to 113. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so I mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below. The first is that Draymond Green showed everyone that he can still be a high elite scorer. Now, as you all know, Draymond Green had himself a game in this matchup against the San Antonio Spurs where he actually had 21 points, 11 assists, and also 6 steals on top of that, and 6 rebounds with 1 block. So he did a fantastic job for the Golden State Warriors. I think the biggest and most impressive stat from his actual stat line was the 6 steals. He was doing everything out there on defense, which I thought was fantastic. In this game, compared to his teammates, he was actually first in steals, first in assists, also second in rebounds, and second in points. So he did a great job all around, and on top of that, guys, he also shot at an insane efficiency. He actually went 8 from 9 from the field, which is great, and went 2 from 2 from the 3-point line, so it was 100% there, and 3 from 4 from the free throw line, which is even better. So he did a fantastic job for this Golden State Warriors team and got them the win against the San Antonio Spurs. I think the biggest thing that he definitely did show was his capability to score and also defend Victor Wembanyama at times. Now, there were a lot of switches in place. Sometimes Draymond would be on him, sometimes Trayce Jackson-Davis, or vice versa. But I do believe when Draymond was on him, he did a great job at actually controlling the defense and being able to stop him as much as they could. Now, Victor still did have himself 32 points, but it is hard to stop a unicorn like Victor Wembanyama himself. But the fact that he was able to do a fantastic job and try to slow him down as much as they could is, I think, a huge reason why they were able to get that win, especially in a close game like this where they won by 4 points. On top of that, we all know Draymond did hit some clutch free throws at the end of the game, but when it comes to Draymond, I think if he is on the floor, if he doesn't get ejected like he has been over the last couple of games, he can definitely still be a huge asset. Draymond Green, I know a lot of Warriors fans have wanted him to be traded because of his antics on the floor and getting ejected so many times, but it does seem that Draymond Green is learning from his ways, as Stephen Curry has actually mentioned he will be talking to Draymond Green about his ejection and commonality from that. So I do believe when it comes to Golden State Warriors, they have a lot of the right pieces, and Draymond Green is starting to live up to his name and starting to be a player that they need, especially when it comes playoff and championship time. The second is seeing Trayce Jackson-Davis back in the starting lineup. So there have been some games where Trayce Jackson-Davis has definitely seen a huge reduction in his minutes, and it does seem that Steve Kerr was definitely trying a couple of things different, but you also have to realize in this matchup, Jonathan Kuminga was actually sitting out. So Trayce Jackson-Davis did step up to the plate, and he did a fantastic job to show what he's capable of doing if given the right amount of minutes. Now, it was sad to see Jonathan Kuminga not in this game, but Trayce Jackson-Davis lived up to the hype where he had 7 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and also 2 steals. Now, it may not sound like MVP type numbers, but when you actually look at the game and look at the highlights, you definitely see why Trayce Jackson-Davis was a huge part of this win. Trayce Jackson-Davis not only did great defense on Victor Wembanyama, but I think the most underrated thing about TJD's game is actually his ability to set very good screens. Now, you saw Trayce Jackson do a great job at actually setting a bunch of screens for not only for Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Wiggins, Draymond Green at times, and you can see that a lot of players struggle to get around him, and it actually opens up the floor a lot for these other players. So a simple thing as such as setting a big screen from someone like TJD was able to open up Steph Curry so much that he was able to drop 33 points. On top of that, he set great off-ball screens to be able to get Wiggins, Klay Thompson, even other players that are coming off the bench like Moody and Podziemski off the bench, and I think those screens definitely are going to be a huge factor, as pick and roll is definitely the way Warriors have been moving to as of recent. I think it will continue on, especially when Jonathan Kuminga does come back, but I think TJD has done a great job, and he definitely did show in this matchup that he can be a very good starting big or even coming off the bench. But either way, I do believe it is great for his development to be able to get the minutes that he is getting, especially at this young age. So we're not only looking at Trayce Jackson-Davis for this Curry era, but even when Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green retires, you may have a great big man in Trayce Jackson-Davis that could be that next big star alongside other great young players such as Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga. The third is Moody getting getting the minutes that he finally deserves. Now, as you all know, Moses Moody was coming up with Jonathan Kuminga and was considered to be the next great star for this Golden State Warriors team. Now, it does seem that Steve Kerr has actually moved him not only just to a bench position, but definitely restricted his minutes quite a lot to around 10 to 12 minutes over the last couple of games. But it does seem to have changed, as Moses Moody was able to get 20 minutes in this matchup, and he definitely showed out. He actually had himself the second best box plus minus with plus 12, and also had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and also went 1 assist. Now, on top of this, when we look at his efficiency out there, he actually went 3 from 6 from the field, which is great, and 2 from 3 from the three-point line. But we all know Moses Moody is not just a scorer, but he's able to play an amazing amount of defense. Now, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. He didn't get any steals or blocks in this game, but you definitely saw his on-ball defense, off-ball defense, his help defense, all those great things were definitely shown out in this matchup. And it's definitely needed, as the Steve Kerr and the rest of the Warriors organization do want that from Moses Moody moving forward. They want him to be a great 3-and-D guy, and he definitely showed that in this matchup very, very well. I think what Moody does really best is his ability to really guard any position. I think the versatility of him, adding Wiggins, also Jonathan Kuminga is coming off the bench, and their ability, all three of them, to be able to be great two-way players is what really sets them apart from any other NBA team, and why they are able to go the distance when it comes playoff time. I think when we look at a 7-game series, Golden State Warriors are still one of the best out there. It may seem that even though they are currently ranked 10th in the Western Conference, it may not look so bright, but I'm telling you, the Golden State Warriors definitely have the right pieces in order to make it work, and Moses Moody is definitely going to be one of those pieces. The fourth is Stephen Curry putting on a shooting masterclass. Now, as you all know, Steph Curry is the leading scorer for this team, but not only did he do a fantastic job dropping 33 points, but he shot at a very efficient rate. Now, he actually went 12 from 23 from the field, which is great, and also went 7 from 15 from the three-point line and 2 from 2 from the free throw line. So he had himself a fantastic scoring night, and on top of that, he also had himself 8 assists, 1 rebound. So great job all around for Steph Curry. He was able to get them this win, but on top of that, what I do love is that Stephen Curry isn't slowing down anytime soon. We've all heard the naysayers say that Stephen Curry and the rest of the Golden State Warriors are completely done, but Steph is still keeping this team alive, and he has done a fantastic job and showing them why this Warriors team can definitely still go the distance. When it comes to Steph Curry, I think the greatest thing about his game so far is not only his scoring ability, but the efficiency that he's scoring at and the way he's scoring as well. He was a great three-point shooter, we all know, probably the best to ever do it. He did go 7 from 15, but his ability to score inside, score the mid-range has definitely evolved as his scoring has continued, and I do believe that adding that mid-range and adding that inside presence has definitely made Steph even a better scorer over these years. It's not only made him more versatile on the scoring end of things, but it does open up the floor for a lot of other players, and that's why we were able to see him get 8 assists in this matchup. His driving ability and ability to dish out on those drives has been capable of really elevating this Warriors team, especially getting more players involved, whether it's Wiggins, Draymond Green, Trayce Jackson-Davis, or Klay when we look at that starting 5. But overall, if Curry continues to play at this high of a level, the Warriors have a great chance of making a good run into the playoffs. The fifth is the Golden State Warriors as a collective continuing to shoot at a very high rate. Now, as you all know, the Warriors are on a 4-game win streak, and they have displayed great shooting over the last 4 games, but this great game against the Spurs also did show that once again. When we look at the Golden State Warriors, they actually went 45 from 92 shots, which was 48.9%. On top of that, if we look at Spurs, that game they actually only shot 44.9%, so a huge 4% difference between the two. On top of that, if we look at three-point percentage, they actually went 41% as a collective. This is very impressive due to the fact that a lot of players think that only Steph Curry, only Klay Thompson can shoot, but you're starting to see a lot more of these players becoming great shooters, whether it's Podziemski, Moody, even someone like Draymond Green who went 2 from 2, and the list really does go on and on. Now, when we also look at the Spurs, who only shot 39.5%, you definitely see a huge difference there. But if you watch these highlights, or even if you are a Warriors fan and you watch the games, you definitely see that the Warriors are able to get a lot more easier shots as of lately. We definitely see Steve Kerr has changed a lot of their plays, and their play style has definitely been tweaked just a little bit, but it does seem to have worked in their favor because they have been shooting at a very efficient rate, and I think that's a big telltale sign on why they have done so well so far, and why they are currently on a 4-game win streak. I definitely can see this win streak continue, and they definitely needed to continue if they want to stay in the play-ins, as the Houston Rockets are very close, and they also have an opportunity to get back into the top 8, maybe make it even into the top 7 if they continue to play at a very high rate. But either way, all the Golden State Warriors want to do is to make the playoffs, and I do believe, like I mentioned before, any team against Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series, I am completely confident the Golden State Warriors can get it done. Obviously, the regular season, there is a lot of games being played, 82, but it doesn't give a really good representation of what the playoffs are like. We've seen this happen time and time again. You'd rarely see first teams in the Eastern and Western Conference always win the NBA championship. Sometimes it's always a third, fourth team, anything like that, and that's why I think the Warriors have a great chance if they make it into the playoffs.